Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to create an iOS plugin to scan documents using VisionKit for Godot game engine. So let's get started. So firstly, given that we have first I will tell you some setup. So this is my cheat sheet, so ignore the errors which you see. We have to do few setups before we get actually started with the work. So the first thing which you have to do is you will require a MacBook, because iOS requires Xcode, and that is only available on a MacBook or a MacBook Air or whatever MacBook Pro, on a Mac laptop or a desktop. Once you have that, you will have to install Python. So just search for Python. Most MacBooks already come with Python installed, but make sure you are using at least Python version 3. Then you will have to install Xcode, from which is available from the Apple App Store. Just search for it. Then most of you, if you are using Mac, you might already have Homebrew installed. If not, you can just Google search for Homebrew and it will give you a command. Just run that will take little bit of time, so be patient. Why we require Homebrew is we need to install scones. To install scones, you can just run this particular command inside your terminal: brew install scones. So because scones is the build system which Godot uses, that's why we need scones as well. Now we will have to create one workspace folder. Workspace, you can name it whatever you feel like. Just to quickly let you know that I have already created one project in which I have tested this scanning documents. So I will be copying a lot of code from this, so don't get confused by this work folder, because I will be using this work folder to copy some Objective-C code as well as some Godot code, as it's very difficult for me to remember all the code. But just concentrate on this workspace folder. So inside that we have to create a folder called plugin. So I will quickly do that. Make sure you follow what I am doing, otherwise you might get confused. Now inside this plugin folder, you will have to open your terminal and you will have to copy this particular command and paste it. But before running this command, I want to tell you that at the time of me recording this video, I am using Godot 4.3.0, but I think if you are watching this in future, obviously a newer version of Godot will be available. So use whatever Godot version you are using. So again, if you are using Godot 4.4, change this 4.3 to 4.4. rest everything will remain the same. Now given that this particular thing will take again little bit of time, I have already cloned this particular thing inside my practice project. So I will just go over there, and here you can see I have already copied that, cloned that Godot source code. So I'll just copy paste it inside my plugin folder. But obviously you won't be having it if you are doing it for the very first time, so you will have to clone this inside the plugin folder which you have created. Again, this will take little bit of time, so be patient. So once this cloning part is done, what you will have to do is again open your terminal and cd to the Godot folder which you have just cloned, and then you can run this particular command. So this will create the iOS platform headers inside our the Godot folder, which is necessary. Again, this might take lot of time. You can also change this J4 to J8. I mean, it depends on your laptops or your desktops core. I don't really understand all this stuff. I just ran it using J4, but you can try it with J8. I mean, it would be much quicker, but yeah, it will take a lot of load on your system. You won't be able to do anything. So yeah, choose whatever you feel like. Just run this command inside the Godot folder once it is cloned, sorry. And again, it will take a lot of time, maybe up to an hour, so be patient. I have already ran this particular command inside the Godot folder which I have copied, so I don't need to run this again. Okay, then we have to open Xcode. So I'll quickly open Xcode. I'll just close this project. Okay, I'm not using that project. And next, what I will do is that I'll click on create a new project. Okay, I will select iOS. I will select static library. Okay, click next, and here you can name it whatever you feel like. I'll just name it as scan doc, just for simplicity. But yeah, change the language to Objective-C. Click next, and then you will have to go to your workspace directory wherever you have created this sample project. So here inside workspace plugin, I will just click on create. so it will create the Godot project for me. Okay, now there is one more thing which I want to tell you is I think this scan document thing is available from iOS 13, but here I will change the minimum deployment target to iOS 16. This is fine for me, but maybe your game want to support iOS 13, so change it to whatever is your minimum iOS deployment target you want to set. Also do remember this number, because we need to change this in one of the other scripts as well, which I will show you in some time. So here we have two files, header file and an Objective-C file. Now we will have to copy some code, which I will again go back to my original practice project. Okay, so here we require this 4 file. Now during my practice project I have named the project as arithmetic, so don't get confused. You can name it whatever you feel like. So here we named it as scan doc, right? So we have to keep writing scan doc. So we have to firstly create a module header file as well as a module Objective-C++ file. So I'll just right click, new file, change over here, scan doc underscore module, copy, click create. Similarly for Objective-C file as well, new, next, click create. Now we have to change the Objective-C file to Objective-C++, so just change the extension to .mm over here, as well as over here .mm over here, so it is Objective-C++ now. Okay, so I will just copy paste all the required code which we need, and I'll try to explain as much as I can. So firstly copy this header file from arithmetic underscore module.h. So we need to copy this inside scan doc module.h. Okay, so I'll paste it over here. Now this is boilerplate code, even if you don't understand, that's fine. I don't understand all this stuff. This will remain same for every iOS plugin which you create. You just have to change the name. So here as you can see, instead of arithmetic I'm just changing the name to scan doc over here as well. Okay, next we have to go to our Objective-C++ file. So I'll go to that. Again I'll just copy paste all this code and I'll paste it over here. Next again I will just copy scan doc instead of arithmetic. So I'll change it over here, I'll change it over here, I'll change it over here as well, over here as well, over here, then over here, and over here, and here as well. And here also we have to change, make sure you write the first character as capital, and here also we have to write it as something like this. Here also we have to write it something like this. Okay, so this is done as well. Now ignore all these errors which you are getting. It's because like iOS, this Xcode is a little Xcode doesn't understand this all Godot code which we are adding, but it is all valid code, so don't worry too much about it. Then we have to create this header file. Again I'll just copy paste it and I'll just paste it inside this particular thing over here. Again we'll have to change arithmetic to scan doc. So first one is entire thing should be capital. Again most of it is boilerplate, so don't worry too much about it. I'll change it over here as well. Now typically we don't include this particular import, we don't include this particular import for iOS plugin, given that we need to send once our document has been scanned, we will get an image, right? We need to send that image from native iOS plugin to Godot side. That's why we are including this particular import. This particular import is always needed any time of iOS plugin, but this particular import, given that we are sending an image, that's why we are included this. Same for Godot 3 as well. Next we have included VisionKit. This is the iOS API or framework which will help us to scan document with very little code. We don't have to worry about camera and all that stuff. It will do all the things for us. Next here we have to again write scan doc Okay, so I'll just copy the same thing over here as well as over here. Next, here we will be creating a method called scan photo, or whatever name you want, scan doc, whatever name you want, change it to whatever you feel like. So we'll have to write this particular implementation in the Objective-C++ file, which will come back to that in a while. So here also we have to write scan doc, here also scan doc, here also scan doc. So this is like boilerplate code, don't worry too much about it. Then coming back to the actual implementation, so again I'll go back over here. So I will again copy paste all this particular code which I have, and I'll paste it over here. So firstly we are importing foundation. Again this is boilerplate code. Here again we have to write scan doc. Okay, I'll copy this. Here we have to write one helper class because we need to extend this particular delegate, which is from iOS VisionKit. So I'll just remove this arithmetic helper. Instead of that we want scan doc. Okay, here also instead of arithmetic helper we want scan doc helper. Here we are creating object for our document camera view controller, which needs to be used in some other place as well, which I will show you shortly. That's why I have created at the very top. Here we are overriding this particular method from this VN document view controller. So I haven't written this method by myself. This is the method which we are overriding. Now one more thing, this images of page at index which you are seeing. So once a document has been scanned, this is very important, I am only taking the first document which has been scanned. For you that might not be the use case. You like once the camera is open you can scan multiple documents, but I am only getting the first document which has been scanned, because I want to keep this entire thing extremely simple, don't want to complicate too much. That's why here I have hard coded the index as 0. So whenever if the user has scanned the first document, only then we will get that. Okay, again this might lead to an error in case if the user hasn't scanned any document. So make sure if you are doing something, add proper checks to it. You can use ChatGPT to add proper checks to this, don't worry too much about it. So one more thing which I want to tell you is, suppose you want all the pages which have been scanned, you can use a loop something like this, and inside this loop you will have to write all this bit of code which I am just showing you. But here, like I told you, I have just hard coded the 0th index, which is the first item which has been scanned. So it's up to you. Like I don't know how to send array of images back to Godot side, that's why I have kept things simple, because the code which I will show you later on, I have copy pasted it from one documentation, thanks to that, otherwise I couldn't really figure this out. So here anyways, so hopefully you got the point. I am only getting the first item which has been scanned. So here is our UI image, and I am dismissing the controller. Basically we are dismissing the camera which has been opened. Now Godot does not understand UI image, it has some different image format. Now this entire thing which you see over here I have just copy pasted. So I'll first show you the documentation from where I have copy pasted. So I have copy pasted this from the photo picker. So as you can see, I have opened the photo picker plugin, and if you see in this somewhere over here, so here you can see once they get the UI image, they are writing all this entire bit of code, okay, which I have just copy pasted. So here you can see this entire bit of code. So I am not really good at this, so I'll just simply show it the code to you. If you want, you can copy paste from that photo picker iOS plugin which they have. So here is that. So this is copied, this entire thing is copied, this is copied as well. Here once in case if you are getting any error, you can send a signal back to Godot side, okay, this particular error happened. I will also show you like how to send a signal as well. So here, but I'm just for simplicity sake, I'm just doing an ns log. Again this has been copied as well, this has been copied as well, this also has been copied, this also has been copied, this entire thing has been copied, this has been copied. Again ignore this error, these are not really errors. So here we are getting this image reference something like that, again copied. So here you can see we are sending finally the image whatever Godot expects. over here. So this is how you can emit a signal, and this signal I have defined below, which I will show you shortly. And again, this has been copied from the docs itself. Okay, so here we define our arithmetic instance, sorry, not arithmetic, we need to use scan doc, right? So I'll just change this to scan doc, as well as over here, and this is our helper which we had created at the top. Here we are initializing scan doc, here we are initializing it, here we are initializing the helper as well, here we are initializing our document view controller and setting the delegate for it as well. And again, here this should be scan doc, this should be scan doc, and here we deinitialize it. This is for getting the singleton. Okay, and here we are actually writing that particular method which we have defined inside the header file. So here you can see this is our method. Again, I'll change this to scan doc. Okay, over here, and here you can see this is our signal name. Similarly, you can register one signal for error as well if you want to send those errors. And here you can see this should be scan doc. So basically I'm checking whether this VN document camera view controller is supported or not on your device. If it is, then this entire code which you see, this is for getting hold of our root view controller that is necessary to present this document camera view controller. So okay, and once we have that, we just call break, and in case of any error, again I am logging into the console, but you can send a signal if you want to. So hopefully you got the point. Next we'll just go over here, inside over here, just select your project, go to scan doc targets, go to build settings. Here just search for header search path. So here you can see, now here you will again have to go to your plugin, go to Godot, go to platform, go to iOS, just right click on any of this file. So I'll just right click, get info, and I'll copy this particular path. Okay, and I'll just paste it over here, click plus. Okay, so the path has also been set. Now again I'll just go back to my cheat sheet. So we have done this, we have done this. Okay, next we have to close Xcode completely. So I will just right click, quit. So Xcode has been closed. Next we again have to go to our plugin folder. So I'll go over here, this is our scan doc, right? So we have to move this scan doc.xcode proj one level ahead, so something like this. Then we have this here, also copy all these files and move it one folder ahead. Then we have this empty scan doc folder which I will just delete. So your project structure should look something like this. Again, this is just part of the things which we have to do. I don't know, like I've just got this from one of the iOS plugin creator, he does it, that's why I have done it the same way. Then we have to create a .gdip file. So for that I have one .gdip file inside my practice project, which I'll just copy it. Okay, and I'll just paste it over here. Now again the name okay, one more thing which I forgot, I'll quickly open this .xcode proj. Just want to check if I haven't somehow missed out renaming arithmetic to scan doc or not. So I'll just search for arithmetic. Okay, I did forgot. So here you can see, here instead of arithmetic I have to name this as scan doc again. Okay, and here also I have to name this as scan doc helper. Okay, now again I'll just do, okay, so here no more results for arithmetic, so this is good. I'll again quit my Xcode project. Now I'll open this .gdip file. Okay, but we first need to rename it, right? So I'll just rename it as scan doc gdip, scan doc. Okay, and it has lost it. So here I'll just open it again. So again here we'll have to change the name to scan doc. I'll just name this. Okay, and here we have to change it as scan doc. Here also instead of arithmetic scan doc, here also instead of arithmetic I have changed it to scan doc. and here we don't need all this dependency, so I'll just remove all this dependency. Instead we just need the VisionKit dependency. So again I'll just go back to my scan code project. So I'll just add this, I'll remove this as well. Oh sorry, cancel. I'll go back to my .gdip file. Okay, and if you see inside our header, this is the VisionKit framework, right? So I'll just paste it over here. Okay, so this is done. Now I'll again go back to my cheat sheet. I'll close everything else. Now we have to create an sconstruct file. Now this file is very large, so for your sake I have just created one gist. So you can go to this particular gist and copy the sconstruct file which I have already created. So but I already have it inside my practice project. So I'll go over here, I'll copy it, I'll paste it inside my plugin folder. Now here also again we have to change few things. Instead of arithmetic we have to write, so just search for arithmetic. I'm using VS Code for all this, but use whatever text editor you prefer. So here we have to change scan doc. Okay, also below we have to change here scan doc, over here as well as over here. Now if you remember, I have told you to remember the minimum deployment target. So for that you'll have to scroll over here and make sure. So for me it is already 16 because that's what is the minimum iOS deployment target I had set. So change it over here, over here, over here as well as over here, but for me it's already done, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay, so this is the sconstruct file. Again, like I have told you, the gist from which you can copy paste it. Next we have to create a bin folder. So I'll go back to my plugin, I'll create a bin folder. Okay, then inside that we have to run this particular command, but not inside the bin folder but inside the plugin folder, and it will automatically create a .a file for us inside the bin folder. So here inside the terminal I'm already inside the plugin folder. I'll just run this command, but here instead again of arithmetic we have to write scan doc. So I'll just write scan doc over here and I'll run this command. If there are any errors, it will throw errors for you. In case if there are no any errors, then it should generate the .a file for you. So here you can see it was generated the .a file for me. Here you can see the .a file for me. Okay, then we have to create a Godot project. So I'll just open my Godot game engine. I'll click on create. I'll browse to my folder samples, Godot, my trial. Here you can see I'm creating it outside the plugin folder. You don't need to create it inside the plugin folder, otherwise it will be an absolute mess. So create it outside the plugin folder, name it as my Godot, name the game to whatever you feel like. I'll just click on create and edit. Then you will have to go to project, export, add iOS, click on this fix import. Okay, then scroll down. Here give it some bundle identifier. Typically it is like your company name dot com dot your company name dot your game name or app name, but I'll just name it as this. Change it to whatever you feel like. Okay, again I'll go back to my cheat sheet. So we have to create a folder called iOS. Inside that we have to create a folder called plugin. So I'll go back to my Godot project. I'll create a folder called iOS. Inside that I will have to create a folder called plugins with an S. Alright, then I have to copy the .gdip file and .a file inside this plugins folder. So I'll go back to my plugin folder over here. So I'll copy the .gdip file, go back to my Godot project iOS plugins, paste it over here. Similarly, again go back to your plugin, go to bin, copy this .a file, go back to my Godot iOS plugins, and I'll paste it over here. Now we have to change the name of this file to scan doc, the upper one. So I'm just copying this, and here change the name to scandoc.a. So hopefully you got the point. Now Okay, so now to get the App Store team ID, you can go to this particular URL which I have shown you. I'm not going to show you my App Store team ID. Okay, what is this? So just go to this particular URL if you want to know how to get your App Store team ID. So just go to project, export, iOS, and here you will have to add your App Store team ID, otherwise you won't be able to export your project. As you can see, we are getting the export project disabled. I'll enter my App Store team ID later, but you should enter it now. Then here inside 2D scene, I'll just go to project. I'll just create one button, and here I'll also create one texture rect. Okay, I'll just maximize this texture rect, something like this. Okay, and this is my button. If you are testing it on an iOS device, change the orientation to portrait. I have an iPad, that's why I haven't changed the orientation. If you don't know how to change the orientation, go to project settings, search for window, and here you will see this orientation. So I have kept it to landscape, but if you are changing the orientation, change the width and height accordingly. Okay, so here is our button. I'll just name it as scan. Okay, and I'll just quickly save it, and here inside texture rect, for here I will just keep it as fit width. Alright, change this to whatever you feel like, and then here I'll just attach one script to it. Also, I'll go back to my button, go to node. Here I'll click on this press signal again, click connect. Now again I'll just copy paste some code from my practice project. So my awesome Godot game. So one more thing before I forget, go to project, export, iOS, and scroll down, and inside plugins you should be able to see your plugin, so check this plugin as well. Next, coming back to our code, so firstly we'll have to get hold of this. So first, as you can see, this should be scan doc, and here I'm getting hold of our texture rect. Then inside ready, we can write this particular code. Again, this should be scan doc, right? Scan doc, and here also we are writing scan doc. This is the signal which we are connecting to. So here we are initializing our scan doc, and once we get the signal, so for that also we are writing this particular method. Okay, so basically once we have that, we just create an image texture of new, and then we just create an image from that texture and assign it to our texture rect. So this is done. Now on button pressed, all we have to do is call this particular thing called scan photo. That's the name of the method which we have defined it on side our native iOS plugin. So here instead of arithmetic, again I'll just write scan doc. One more thing which I will tell you is here is my folder, right? So here I will create one more folder called iOS because I will export the project inside this iOS folder, because there will be lot of file. Otherwise, if you export it somewhere, it will get extremely messy. You won't know which is what. Okay, so before that, let me quickly check is there anything else remaining. Yeah, so I think this should be fine. One more thing which I will tell you is just click on this run button so that your current scene is selected. In case if your current scene is not selected, like me, if you are just doing it for a sample project or a demo project, so make sure your current scene is selected. Okay, again I have opened our export window, and I have already entered my App Store team ID. All I have to do is click on export project, and here I have selected the iOS folder which I have just created, and I'll just click on save. Now again this export will take a little bit of time, so be patient. Okay guys, so as you can see, my export was generated properly. Then just go to the iOS folder, double click on this .xcode proj file, and it will open it in Xcode. So here it is, and then you will have to go to your project, go inside target, select this one, and inside team you can just select your Godot team ID. make sure you use the same account for which you have entered the team ID inside Godot. So I will just select that, and then you can go to info, okay, over here, and here you can see we have this camera usage description permission, right? So this was already added. We need this permission for document scanning, but in future version of Godot, if they remove this permission, make sure you add this particular permission as well. And here inside value you have to specify why you need this permission. So I will just write to scan documents. Okay, I don't know why that was selected. So yeah, so make sure you add this particular permission, and now you can run it on your just connect your iPhone via USB to your Mac and just run it on that particular device. Okay guys, so as you can see, here is my app running on an iPad device. So I will just open my browser. I will just so I'm trying to scan this particular thing via our app. So I'll just click on the scan button. And here is our camera. I will give it the permission. Here you can see there is automatic scan as well, so I don't have to press the camera button to capture the document. If you want, you can do that as well. So here you can see it has scanned it already and it has saved it. It is ready for the next scan as well, but like I told you, I am only interested in the first scan because I have hard coded that particular number inside our code. So I will just click on save button, and here you can see it has been displayed it inside our app as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.